Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Reginald. Is that how you say
Hi.
your name?
Yes, it is.
When I'm speaking, you can turn off the, yeah, you've done it, YouTube. Yeah, it's out of time, you can see.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. So nice to speak to you. How can I help you or not?
Um, I actually texted you yesterday.
Yeah, I remember, yeah. Hey.
Um, I and as I said to you, I wasn't sure what question to ask exactly. Um, I've been on a journey trying to understand myself, and I've come to a point where I'm able to quieten myself down, but I'm not able to have some of the experiences that I think I should expect. So I'm not really sure of what to expect. And when I texted you yesterday, you said that you could get a sense of where I'm at, and perhaps to be able to provide some advice after that.
So how do you feel right now?
Um, I feel okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, I feel okay. When you say how do I feel, in what sense?
In your body, like what does your body feel like? I know what you
Um,
think, like what your body feels.
my body feels very relaxed, but and I don't have any thoughts other than the conversation that we're having right now.
Yeah. And what do you expect from non-duality? Like what do you expect to arise?
I expect to find a deeper peace than what I've been experienced to having so far.
What don't you like about your experience?
Um, well, I think I'd like to be less emotional, less emotionally involved in in the thoughts and feelings that I have, and I've been able to achieve that to a certain level. Um, but I think that perhaps there's a lot more that I could still do,
And what type of
which is
emotions don't you like?
emotions of tension,
Hmm.
and um, I'd like to be able to live more in the present, as opposed to constantly uh, thinking about past events and planning for the future,
Yeah.
thinking about what I'm going to be doing next week, and thinking about my work, and thinking about you know um, uh, what this could be like if I did this and if I did that, so on and so forth. I do live in the moment from time to time, but not as much as I'd like to. I'd like to do.
How long have you been into this subject?
Well, I guess I've been into this subject for, I'd say, probably about 20 years in some form or the other. I've been interested in philosophy for quite some time. And although I wouldn't call myself as somebody who's religious, I've always been interested in religious texts. So I've, had a look at different texts, from Christian texts, Islamic texts, Bhagavad Gita, the Book of Tao, Zen Buddhism, more from a perspective of curiosity than anything. But I've always been interested in seeing similar messages from, all the different teachers that have either founded or have been involved in these religions, and also, philosophers such as Socrates, etc. So I've always been interested in this. Not always, but for at least the last 20 years. But I've only over the last couple of years started to attempt to put it into proper practice in my life.
What stops you more than likely in this life is your image, your identity. I can't guarantee that that's right. I'm just saying my intuition, just from sitting with you for a few minutes, and like the image in which you portray to others, and living up to that, and getting others to see you in the light that you want to be seen. But you most probably won't be conscious of that. It will be an automatic. The response is happening when you meet people and when you're interacting with people, is that you want to be seen a particular way. And this will be your conflict, I suspect. But I could be wrong. I can't guarantee that I'm right, but I'm often right. Just to let you know, like statistically say I'm often right. And I think that it will be your self-image that will be so everybody will have different bases. So some people are based on fear. Some people are afraid of the world and they're too scared to go out in the world, and too scared to interact. Some people will be always looking for love, and so everything they do will be really foolish because they're the lover. They're screaming and yearning for love. And in a way, all of us acting in some way from fear and trying to avoid fear and trying to get to love. But just on the surface level, what I would look at, just for an experiment for you, is to look at how you want people to see you and how you want people to perceive you, and what happens to you when people don't perceive you in the way that you think they should see you. I'm even going to be even more pushy, and just ignore this if you want, is I suspect that what will happen when people don't see you the way that you want to, what will arise is anger, and that will come from the solar plexus, which is in the this area here, so you can watch this back afterwards. And
I can't see you.
oh yeah, you can. Solar plexus is like the top bit of the belly area. Yeah, you know where it is. Yeah. So and this, I think, will be what holds you back from really relaxing into this moment. So it's just noticing bit by bit, like just noticing when you interact with someone. So like what it is your body is saying. Is your body comfortable? Is it relaxed? If not, then why is it not relaxed? And where is it that it's not relaxed? And by defining where it is, you'll be able to tell what stories you're telling yourself.
Actually, the only tension that I feel right now is because I'm not used to speaking live on YouTube.
Yeah.
or whatever the medium is.
Yeah.
And I've, for many years, I've actually been very much a loner. So I'll take your your words into great consideration.
Yeah, and don't take them as fact. Like it's always that you've got to explore for yourself. But I'm just doing this quickly because, like,
Yes.
we're live, and because that's what you asked me to do. Like I'm quite genuine in that I'll reply.
I appreciate that.
And I would look to why is it that you chose the path of being a loner, and maybe thoughts will come up because people didn't understand me or because I couldn't be myself, and so what is that person that, like, who is it that you would be if there wasn't anyone else to take into consideration, if you didn't have to consider other people's feelings or what they thought about you, like just look at what that derived from.
Yeah, the way that I see it is that the reason why I've been a loner for some time now is because I've been trying to understand myself and find out who it is that I am.
Yeah.
Not
that's really beautiful
of other people.
Yeah.
I think that there's a big difference between loneliness and aloneness, and what I'm experiencing is a aloneness out of choice, because I think the most important thing, well, for me anyway, the most important thing has become learning to enjoy my own company.
Yeah.
And learning to understand myself better and better. Sometimes, I take a few steps back, but I guess like anybody else would.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I take some steps forward.
Yeah.
So that, that's my reason for being alone.
Yeah.
Because I came to a point a few years ago when I realized that I didn't know myself very well. As you said, we spend our time as reflections of other people's thoughts and opinions and ideas and philosophies and whatever else. And I kind of thought to myself, I mean, even with all these texts that I've told you that I've read, I got to a point where I started abandoning them and thinking, well, let me try and find out for myself what my own truth is.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where, and thoughts can be very confusing, very thoughts are never about what's going on right now. It's always about what's happening in the past and what's going on, what could happen in the future, and fantasies and God knows what else. And but I've reached a point where when I sit down in contemplation, I can get to a point where I don't have any thoughts for, say about an hour, whilst I'm meditating, and I sit down in peace. But then afterwards, the thoughts come back again.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if, you know, perhaps you've been, down the same road, or, perhaps much further than myself. And this is why I've come to you to, to ask you for advice on, what perhaps I should expect, because the feeling that I get when there is no thought is something that I thoroughly enjoy. Um, and, I would like to experience more of, rather than only when I'm in really concentrated meditation.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, if there's any advice that you can give, perhaps, that can, help me
Yeah.
experience more of it, in my day-to-day life.
Yeah. It's the reason that it comes back is because when you're interacting in your day-to-day life, different parts of your body get triggered into discomfort, and then your thinking is trying to avoid that discomfort.
Right.
So that's why. So when you're in meditation, there isn't a discomfort, there's a relaxation, and I'm pretty sure it's about self-image. Because let me just reflect back when you were talking, I could feel this distinct impression that if I challenge you too much, you will get angry with me.
No, quite the contrary, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite the contrary. I mentioned to you on Skype that I went to a meeting yesterday,
Yeah.
without naming names, and I was being quite, I wouldn't say interrogative, but questioning
Yeah.
a teacher,
Yeah.
trying to get more insight. And this teacher was quite
Abrupt, I can imagine.
yeah, abrupt.
I know who it is, so everybody else knows.
Yeah, and trying to force his ideas down. But I was extremely calm about it.
Yeah.
Because I know how I feel, and even before getting into meditation, part of my job, if you like, is to try and maintain a sense of calm.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things that happen in my profession, and if you get upset so easily, you wouldn't last 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
So quite the contrary. So if you feel like pushing, I think it would be a very good thing.
Yeah. So I think that then what I would come back to is looking at what your image is with other people, and look at your body. So investigate what happens in your body when you're interacting with people. So that's great if you went to his meeting and there was that you felt at peace when he was disagreeing with you, because that's a balanced human being, is that somebody can throw their ideas, they can say their opinions, but you have a sense of who you are and what you feel. But sometimes we can have this surface feeling, and then underneath there can be other feelings that are going on, because we're used to telling ourselves what we feel, and we don't want to acknowledge other feelings. But you wouldn't even be conscious of it if it is happening. Just investigate and line up your bodily experience. So when, say, somebody is confronting you about something, or you are in work situations where there is confrontation, just look to see what your body feels like how it is, what's happening in your solar plexus, in your belly, in your heart. If you don't tell yourself that you're peaceful or calm, if you don't listen to your mind, what is it? If you really surrender, what is it that you feel? And if you feel angry, that's totally okay. But as you say, it's down to you and what you feel.
Yeah, in the body, if I were to judge solely by how I feel in the body,
yeah,
judging by yesterday, I didn't feel anything in the body. My body was completely calm. But when it comes to the mind is like an onion with lots of layers.
Yeah.
So, there comes the challenge.
Yeah, but then this is why it doesn't make sense, because the mind and the body are one. So if you're thinking thoughts, particular thoughts, then you should be feeling it in the body.
No, what I meant was, from what you were saying that I may not notice it, but
Yeah,
maybe deeper down.
yeah,
So I was just responding to that, saying that from the body, I didn't get any messages such as what you were talking about.
yeah,
But from, perhaps in the mind somewhere it's hidden and I don't know. And of course, I don't know everything about even my own mind. So,
yeah,
it's wholly possible.
yeah.
All I can do is investigate.
Yeah, just investigate and see. So if you're having thoughts, like blaming thoughts or judgmental thoughts, then there should be a feeling that happens in the body if you're judging someone. So just look to see. So just if judgment thoughts are coming up or arising about a colleague or somebody at work or them not being peaceful, just see what happens in your chakra areas.
Okay.
Just put the attention down there, because sometimes, I mean, you might have done this already and this might have become obvious to you and it might have passed through your body. But sometimes what happens to us is that we're so fixated on thinking that we cut off from the rest of our body, and we cut off feeling from the rest of our body. So we don't feel it. And sometimes we need to learn to feel it again. And basically, we should navigate mostly by our body. We put in thoughts to update our bodies. So we learn what time the trains go and we learn how to do our job. But then in the moment, like the way we walk or the way we speak, we just let the body navigate. The body will determine boundaries. The body will determine the best way to act with someone. You don't need to be thinking about yourself in order to interact with the world. It's like when you're driving the car, you're just driving and you're not doing it by thinking about it. This is how you should live your life. Is the focus is predominantly in the whole of the body, not just the head, not just what you're thinking and telling yourself about life. And then response comes from that. So if there's anger, then more than likely you need to put up a boundary. Like anger often comes when you haven't established correct boundaries. Or if there's frustration, then your body will know how to deal with that. It will know how to rectify with it. But when you just listen to the mind, then it doesn't respond correctly to life. It responds through your judgment of life, through your veil of how you see life.
Yes.
But it's unknown to what what's happening in you, and you know best, and you can rewatch this and see what's helpful and take what's helpful for you, and then explore if you feel to, or not if you don't feel to.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure. It was nice to speak to you.
Nice to speak to you too. Thank you.
Bye.